talking about what Romans 1 says in the Bible about homosexuality. That homosexual person in the audience who was offended went and beat up the pastor. Is the pastor protected under the hate speech, under the hate crime? And the answer was, the homosexual person is protected, the pastor is not. I'm sorry, you guys. It doesn't matter what side of the religion issue you're on, whether you're Christian, Jewish. That's wrong. That's discrimination. And there's an anti-religion movement going, and it's quite strong in this country. And what are we doing? What have we done to stop that? Honestly, what have we done individually to stop that? Are we okay with that being given away? I'm not. I'm not okay with my parental rights being given away. I'm not okay with Barack Obama coming here and seizing his airways or whatever else he thinks he has the right to take. I recently read a story that happened a few years ago. Well, before I tell that story, I just got an email that was a hoax email. The first part of the email was hoax. That Barack Obama passed a bill that funded money to the Hamas and the people over in the Palestinians to migrate to the United States, and he would pay for their housing and their food to come over here. That's a hoax. That was a hoax email that discredits us when we send those out. But what was true was that he is taking money and sending it to them so that they can relocate. That's true. The rest of the email was true. His very first phone call as the president to a head of a state other than the United States, you may know who it was? Who was the first person that Barack Obama called from another country, another head of state? Ilham Abbas.
This is bad.
I'm sorry, right now at the moment I'm mad. I can't remember what state that was, but I'm pretty sure it's the Palestinian group. Hamas, probably. Remember the USS Cole attack? Those guys ran the draft of explosives into the Cole. I knew people on that boat. That was in the Navy years ago. They had somebody that was being held on charges for that. What was Barack's response to that person? Did they know?
Let him go.
Let him go. He let him go. There's a long list of things that he's done that are very sympathetic to the Arab countries.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to make a commitment to be here. But I'm sure a lot of you, as well as me, were hoping that when you got here you would see a much bigger crowd.
Amen.
However, I still want you to be encouraged. Because let me tell you a little bit of history. When the Boston Tea Party happened, most of the people here in America were sympathetic to the tea tax. There was a small group that opposed it. In fact, when the Americans that had the Boston Tea Party had to dress as Indians on the boat to throw over the tea because they feared that they would face retribution from the rest of their fellow citizens for their act. But what happened after that is that the British decided we're going to launch a full-scale offensive to quell this small group of patriotic Americans. And so what did they do? They knew they were facing George Washington, General George Washington, and they decided that they were going to pull their ships on this offensive into New York. Now what better place for them to go? Even though the Tea Party happened in Boston, they went to New York because the New Yorkers didn't mind the tea tax. They were sympathetic. In fact, they knew they could buy the tax from the British, the tea from the British with the tax, cheaper than they could import it anywhere else. So they didn't care, and in fact, that's why the British came to New York. However, the small group of patriots, even though George Washington was heavily outnumbered, we won because we stood.
Yeah.
I say that because this small group has the potential to make some positive change in the right direction. Because even though we're only one group here, there's many other small groups throughout this country. And we can make a difference. And we will make a difference. Now, I'm not here to really talk about politics or anything else, but I'll tell you what, Americans will prevail. You, though you seem like a small majority, hang in there. Do not let yourself be caught in racist acts, saying racist things, doing derogatory things that'll make the TV cameras. Just stand steady, fight proud, live for your freedom, and claim your liberty.
And socialism in general, in every country, has not worked. But we're going to accept it. with these thugs from Chicago.
I know, and I'm like, we have got to do more. When you said individually and collectively, we all have to do more. I'm from the 60s. I've never protested in my life. A flower child, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting out there. I have to take down the Capitol. I will, because, and I don't mean to bring down government, but we need to stand up for our rights. How many of you are baby boomers out here? Well, what I want to say to you is, why do you think they're pushing healthcare so quick and so fast right now? We'll all be walking around in coffins with a sign, denied access. We've paid for Social Security all of our lives. They saw there's barely any for us. And now they're not going to support us with health care. They're going to give us socialized health care. Most of my family comes from Canada. I know how abominable that is. So, sir, Dr. Langan, I know that what you said is the truth. And you have to speak about this to your neighbors, your friends, to everybody that you know. And God bless America.
Amen.
And I wanted to say one more thing. If they can change everything and have one world economy, one world this, one world that, do not be shocked when you hear about a one world religion.
Amen. That's right.
So we have to fight for our rights, because we are Americans.
Hi, my name's Denise, and I love God and I love my country. And America is still the greatest country in the whole world. But we the people didn't say anything when they took the prayer out of the schools. And we the people didn't say anything when they took the 10 Commandments out of the government buildings and parks. We the people need to speak up. We have a history book that documents 5,000 years of what happens when countries turn their backs on God and kick them out. We can get our sofas and stop complaining, get down on our knees, start praying, and get out in the streets and march. A good friend of mine, she's gay, and I told her, I go, you have more rights as a gay person than I do as a straight person. She simply stated, get out and march. That's how they got the rights. We need to reclaim our rights and speak up and get back to God and get our voices heard. God bless America.
Amen.
Good morning, comrades. Now, I never thought in my life I'd ever be standing in front of people that believe like me. Democrat, Republicans, Independents, first we're Americans. And my God, if we can't be the grassroots, we're standing on this grass, we have got to speak up. I never thought, hey, when I didn't have a TV in my home, I'm that old, and I listened to the radio for my news, but I never thought I'd ever see the day where I couldn't see the TV for my news. I have to go back to the radio. I have to sit in my driveway to hear the truth and listen to my car radio. I think it's pathetic. And excuse me if I'm a little emotional, but it's pathetic. Now, listen, I just came from Washington, D.C. not too long ago. I have 6 sisters. We all wanted to see Washington before my one sister that has cancer would pass away. And as we went up to every memorial and seen these words of God in our buildings, it came to me the biggest time when we went to Mount Vernon and seen George Washington and seen that war and seeing how those men from England wanted to come over because they were used to a king. After they won that war, they wanted to make George Washington the king. But he said, no, we're not going to be under a kingship here. The power goes to you, the people. Now tell me today, would many of these presidents we had said what George Washington said, or would they be kings? I think you know the answer. Now it's time that we quit being silent and stand up and tell our children, tell this world, march, do what we can, and pray. I know prayer, if my people that are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, I will heal their land. This land is God blessed because people humble themselves to pray. Now, I used to have lots of money. I thought in my head I had lots of money. Why? Because I went up the Capitol steps in Nebraska and I wanted to open a beauty school. Now, I didn't ask for the government to buy my beauty school. All I knew was I was poor, but God let me be in America where I have a chance to be prosperous. And that's what happened. I became prosperous because they worked hard. Right. This whole thing about feeling sorry for yourself and let the government give you everything, it takes away our pride. That's right. Now, listen, I'm telling you, we have got to bring this back. If we don't, I'll tell you what, our colleges are being filled, you know, with what? Propaganda. You've got to stand up. In this grass, I stand here today, and humbly, I'm glad to be a part. Democrat, Republican, Independent. It's our country. We're not citizens of the world. We're citizens of the United States. Thank you.